Everyone is saying that brazing copper is hard, but it's only hard if you fight the flame instead of control it. Once you understand how the copper and the flame work together, then it becomes a lot easier. So now we go into part 3, which is brazing. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to be able to obtain a clean, leak-free joint. I'm also going to go ahead and share with you all the type of tools that we use for brazing. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to be able to adjust the flame properly. Also, we're going to go ahead and go over the technique that we use to be able to braze properly. And I want you to go ahead and stick around, because towards the end of the video, I'm going to share with you all some pro tips on how to become better at brazing out there in the field. So let me go ahead and go over the different tools that we use for brazing. As you see here right in front of me, we have the different tools that we use, and they're not much. We do have the main tool that we use, which is my oxy-acetylene torch kit. Now, before you go ahead and start brazing, it is important that you understand that you have to go ahead and regulate these torches. In this case, you have to go ahead and regulate these regulators for your oxygen and your acetylene properly. Now, if you do not know how to adjust these regulators properly, or if you do not know at what pressures they need to be at, there's a video that I made. The video is in the description of this video below. Go ahead and go and look at that video. The video is how to be able to set up your oxy-acetylene torch kit properly. Make sure you watch that video all the way through. Like that, you understand how to adjust the regulators to be able to adjust the flame and get the flame that we so desire to get to be able to braze properly. We also use a mirror. Also, we have my brazing rods. And of course, we have the striker. So let's go ahead and start brazing. But before we do that, let me go ahead and show you all how to turn on the torch tip and adjust the flame properly. Okay, so now that I have my torch tip right here, let's go ahead and identify first which is my fuel and which is my oxygen. In this case, I know for a fact that with this torch kit, this knob right here is my fuel and this knob right here is my oxygen. So what we're going to go ahead and do first is we're going to go ahead and open up that fuel for a bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab the striker, and then we're going to go ahead and turn on that torch. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit more fuel, and then I'll go ahead and open up the oxygen. Now if I go ahead and open up the acetylene or my fuel and then my oxygen a little bit more, I could hear how the flame is rumbling. I could hear how it's very, very aggressive. Whenever my flame is like this, very, very aggressive, it means that I'm ready to braze a bigger copper piece. Maybe a 3/4, a 7/8, an inch copper. But let's say I'm brazing a 3/8 or a 1/4 inch. How do I tone it down? How do I bring that heat down? Well, first, I'm going to go ahead and start off with my fuel. What I want to go ahead and do first is I want to go ahead and close my fuel first. And always start off with your fuel. You're going to go ahead and start off by closing up your fuel. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and close up my oxygen. And you could hear immediately how the tone of that flame went down. If I want to go ahead and bring it a little bit more down, maybe that flame is still a little bit too hot, I'll go ahead and I'll do the same thing. I'll go ahead and start off with my fuel, close up my fuel, and then finish off with my oxygen. Let's say I went and I brazed the liquid line, which is 3/8 inch copper. After I do that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the 3/4, 7/8. Now I want to go ahead and make this flame a little bit hotter. I want to go ahead and make it more aggressive. How do I do that? The same way. Just like I started off with my fuel and finished off with my oxygen, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and open up my fuel and then followed by my oxygen. If I still need a little bit more heat, once again, I follow my fuel and then my oxygen order. All right, and it's always going to be that order. Always remember, you always go first with your fuel and then you finish off with your oxygen. Once again, let's go ahead and bring down the temperature of that flame one more time. We start off by closing up my fuel, and then I'll go ahead and close up my oxygen. So let's go ahead and start by brazing this joint right here. But before we do that, remember that you have to go ahead and prepare this joint properly. If y'all want to go ahead and learn how to do that, on my second part of this 3-part videos, I show you guys how to be able to cut, prepare, and swage this copper piece and leave it ready for when we are going to go ahead and start brazing. If y'all want to go ahead and see and learn how to do that, go to that video. The link is in the description below. Okay, after we've prepared the copper joint and we're satisfied with the way we prepared it and we're ready to start brazing, go ahead and pay attention to this technique, which will help you guys a lot to be able to braze a clean, leak-free joint. So what I'm going to go ahead and do first is when I apply the heat to this joint, first I'm going to go ahead and apply it right here. After I go ahead and apply it right here, and the reason why I am applying it right here first is because I'm going to go ahead and try to heat up this piece first and anything that's inside of this swage. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and move my flame a little bit further down this way. What I'm trying to achieve is the capillary action. If you do not know what the capillary action is, let me show you real quickly. So when it comes to the capillary action, I have a little demonstration and go ahead and show you. I have this little piece of paper that I have here in my hand. And what I'm going to go ahead and do, bring this paper close to the water, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens. So check it out. See what happened there? That right there is called the capillary action. Okay, now that we know what the capillary action is, let's go ahead and put into practice with this joint right here. Like that, these two pieces of copper could go ahead and bond properly. Okay, so go ahead and pay attention to what I'm about to do right here. I'm about to apply the heat, and remember my heat has been adjusted properly or accordingly. I'm going to go ahead and start applying my flame here. Now if I leave it for too long, what's going to happen is my copper is just going to go ahead and heat up way too fast. If it goes ahead and turns cherry red, that means that you've kind of exceeded your heat on the copper. And you don't want to go ahead and do that. You want to go ahead and kind of move a little bit quickly to be able to achieve what you want to go ahead and achieve. So first of all, I go ahead and I apply the flame over here on this side first. And then once I'm satisfied and heated it properly, I'm going to go ahead and now move on to this side. So check it out. This is what I'm going to go ahead and do. And I'll try to do it a little bit faster for you guys. So I'll go ahead and apply it here. Apply it a little bit on this side. And then I'll go ahead and apply that. You see what happened right there? That filler material just went inside of all this right here. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and reinforce that. So instead of going and getting closer with my tip, I'm going to go ahead and retract my flame, and I'm going to use just the tail of my flame. And then I'll be able to control how I'm able to apply more or less of that filler. And if I want to go ahead and reinforce it more, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab it and just reinforce it some more. Dab it, reinforce it some more. And then I'm going to use that flame to push that filler material to the side. And don't forget to also get the bottom side. The bottom side is very, very important as well. And check it out. This is our final result right here. Also keep in mind that because we adjusted the flame properly, my filler material was able to melt properly. Remember this, what we want to achieve is for my copper to go ahead and reach the desired temperature. So then whenever I go ahead and I tap my filler material on that copper piece, that temperature of the copper is going to go ahead and melt the filler material. What I do not want is for me to melt my filler material with my flame. If I go ahead and start doing that, or if that ever happens, my two pieces of copper are never going to go ahead and bond as properly or as cleanly as I want them to be. And then that is when I go ahead and start having problems. That is when I may leave leaks in the joints. Another thing to keep in mind is that whenever we're done brazing, never put water on this joint. Always remember, let it go ahead and cool down naturally. If you ever go ahead and put water right after you're done brazing, what may happen in the near future is that it may leak from that joint, because whenever we apply water to something that's very hot, we tend to kind of shock that area, and it becomes weaker, it becomes more brittle. And because of the vibrations of the system, that could cause for that joint to break and the refrigerant to leak out. So there you have it. That is how you braze a clean, leak-free joint. So let's go ahead and recap what we've been over. I showed you guys the different tools of what we use for brazing. I also showed you how to be able to adjust the flame accordingly depending on the size of copper that you will be brazing. I also showed you the technique that we use to be able to join the two copper pieces together properly. Now, I want to go ahead and share with you all some pro tips that can help you out to braze a lot better out there in the field. So first of all, remember this. Be patient. This won't come from one day to the next. It takes a while to become better at brazing and to master anything else that you all want to go ahead and master. Anything else from this trade or anything else that you all are trying to achieve. So once again, just be patient. Also, remember, practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So make sure you always get as much practice as you can in, so you could go ahead and master this part of the trade or this skill for the HVAC trade. Last but not least, what I want to go ahead and share with you all is something that I recommend you all do when you're brazing. Whenever you all are brazing, I recommend that you all go ahead and use a little bit of nitrogen. Now, the good thing about the nitrogen is that whenever we go ahead and install a regulator that allows you to put it on a setting for brazing, then it gives you just the right amount of pressure flowing through your line sets to be able to braze the copper piece properly. Now, why do we want to go ahead and add nitrogen into the system while we're brazing? Well, what's going to happen is it's going to try to prevent any type of oxidation and buildup inside of our system or inside of the mechanical system. The thing is that what we don't want to do is we don't want any of this debris or material to flow in through our system and especially make its way back into the compressor. Once it makes its way back into the compressor, then in due time, that compressor is going to suffer and it won't last as long as we need it to last. So, keep in mind these tips. If this video helped you out, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. Make sure to also subscribe for more content like this, and also leave a comment down below. Remember, don't fight the flame, and I'll see you on the next one.